The Apple iPhone 17 Pro Max pushes the iconic iPhone in bold new directions and colors. It's recognizable but different in ways that make it eye-catching. The performance is stellar and the cameras set a new high watermark for smartphone photography. For people who demand more from their smartphone, there may be no better choice. If you are looking different in your iPhone shopping journey, the iPhone 17 Pro Max has you covered. It's not just that fetching cosmic orange, the unexpected hue heat of Apple's eye-dropping event. Apple's iPhone 17 Pro Max features a fresh design with new materials and a broad and bold product spanning camera plateau that adds a distinctive flair to what had become a somewhat tired design. Inside, the changes are no less significant, from the powerful A19 Pro chip to the new vapor chamber supported heat management system, which enable enough performance to support every peak and valley of your experience. If you are fixated on cameras, the iPhone 17 Pro Max will not disappoint. There are now finally three 48-megapixel lenses that support a wide range of shooting styles. Perhaps the most notable of the three is the new 48-megapixel 4x optical zoom lens that also offers access to a sensor crop 8x zoom, which, thanks to selecting the center pixels from the larger sensor and an upgraded image pipeline, delivers some truly eye-popping photos. This is also an upgrade that makes a canny swap of titanium for aluminum a seeming downgrade, but one with some significant benefits, like the ability to apply that amazing new anodized orange finish and the ability to better distribute and dissipate heat. Finally, there's the price. It's the one thing you hope doesn't get an upgrade. And I am happy to report that Apple somehow held the line here. The iPhone 17 Pro Max still starts at $1,199 US. It's never been a cheap smartphone, but then this one is for the pros, and I think they will be very happy. I know I am. As for why you might buy the iPhone 17 Pro Max over the iPhone 17 Pro, that comes down to screen size, battery life potential, and the option to get up to 2TB of storage. Otherwise, these iPhones are identical. The iPhone 17 Pro Max was announced at Apple's eye-dropping event on September 9. Pre-orders began on September 12, and the phone arrives in stores and starts shipping on September 19. The iPhone 17 Pro starts at $1,199 for the model with 256GB of storage, with that price rising to $1,399 for 512GB of storage, $1,599 for 1TB storage, and $1,999 for 2TB of storage. The later configuration represents the largest storage capacity of any iPhone ever. Apple is likely getting undue credit for not raising the price of the base model iPhone 17 Pro Max. Component prices and supply chain issues relating to the geopolitical stage are surely putting pressure on the company. Somehow, too, Apple has held the line, and the base iPhone 17 Pro Max still starts at $1,199 for 256GB model. The only difference in pricing comes into play when you stretch to the phone's new upper tier of 2TB, which is only available with the Pro Max model. That sends the price up to almost $2,000. It boggles the mind that we now consider paying almost $2,000 for a pocket-sized device to be rational. On the other hand, this is a true pro-level smartphone that, based on my tastes, is probably ready for pro photography and videography tasks, and when you put it like that, it might seem like a bargain. I saw enough leaks in the run-up to the iPhone 17 line launch to have a pretty good idea of what was coming, and to be honest, I was preparing to hate the iPhone 17 Pro Max redesign and colors. Yet, here I am now, quite pleased with the giant plateau, and yes, loving cosmic orange. In many ways, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is still undoubtedly part of long lineage of iPhones before it. There are, though, just enough new touches here to add up to what I am comfortable calling a redesign. Starting with the back, there's the now nearly full-width plateau that's both a bold design touch but also a practical measure, in that underneath there's now more space for upgraded components like refreshed tetraprism that supports a new, longer telephoto lens. Most previous iPhone bags featured just one material, usually metal or glass. The iPhone 17 Pro Max is a spiffy mix of the two, metal and glass, or rather a larger rectangular ceramic shield cutout with the rest a univity chassis literally carved out of aluminum. Instead of a titanium band surrounding a frame, components and the front and back glass, the iPhone 17 Pro Max's back cascades seamlessly to the side and even curves just a bit around the front to meet the Ceramic Shield 2 screen covers, which reportedly will better protect it from scratches. It will has an incredibly unified feel, and because Apple has radically cut down on edges, the phone feels very comfortable to hold. When it comes to dimensions and weight, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is slightly larger and heavier than the iPhone 16 Pro Max, but I challenge anyone to notice the differences, which can be measured in fraction. The iPhone 17 Pro Max is 163mm tall by 78mm long by 8.75mm thick and weighs 233 grams. By contrast, the iPhone 16 Pro Max was 163 by 77.6 by 8.25mm and weighed 227 grams. This year there are no new buttons to contend with. Along one edge we have the long power and Siri button, and below it camera control. Opposite them is the action button, and below that a pair of volume buttons. There are small differences along the shorter edges. On top, an antenna cutout is now visible, and on the bottom the pair of speaker grills appear larger. If you want to lie the phone flat, you will have to place it screen down. Even though the back plateau is nearly the full width of the phone, the tri-camera array still bumps out even further, and between this and the wide metal bump, this phone lies on its back at a slightly more extreme angle than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. The switch from titanium to aluminum provides not only some useful heat management and energy efficiency benefits, it's also opened the door for anodized color options. I don't know where Apple got the idea for cosmic orange, but I actually love it. It's bold without being garish. There's also silver and the very deep and inky deep blue. Apple sort of explained its color choices to me and even the loss of black, but I think this is just Apple mixing things up and possibly giving a nod to all the pro level folks who buy this phone for creative pursuits. Orange is a color that will get you noticed. iOS 26's liquid glass interface might lead you to assume there has been some radical display overhaul, so much glow, shiny and artificial transparency. However, that would be mostly wrong. The platform update does change the look, but it's all still working with the same materials. The iPhone 17 Pro Max's expansive 6.9-inch Super Retina XDR OLED is largely the same as last year's, featuring a resolution of 2868 by 1320 pixels for a density of 460 ppi. The ProMotion technology still automatically ranges from 1Hz to 120Hz, and it's always on, which means that even when you are in bed, you can make out the time and have glanceable notifications. It's not though exactly the same screen. This display now ranges up to 3000 nits, that's 1000 more than the last model. In my side-by-side tests, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is more visible in direct sunlight. This effect is assisted by a new reflective coating, meaning the light bouncing off the screen is also less noticeable. There's a nice and not necessarily insignificant upgrades. With a narrow bezel, the Super Retina display comes precisely close to meeting that orange metal, with a vast expanse of color and entertainment interrupted only by the pill-shaped dynamic island. Made up of the new center stage camera and Face ID sensors, it remains a useful space for live information, but it's also sometimes a black blob cutout in games, videos and photos. I find the information it provides useful, so I do not mind it much, but I was also hoping for a redesign that might have shrunk the thing by 50%. This is a minor quibble, and I'm sure that, like me, you probably won't notice or be bothered by it very much. Apple's redesigned plateau is not just an aesthetic choice, it's a practical one. Underneath that now larger raised platform is a lot of technology, including a new tetraprism to support Apple's longest and highest resolution telephoto lens ever. It's simply one highlight of a stellar iPhone 17 Pro Max camera system. There are a total of 4 cameras, with Apple calling the rear trio fusion cameras. The main camera is 48 megapixel, ultra-wide is also 48 megapixel, and telephoto also 48 megapixel with 4x optical, and the selfie camera is 18 megapixel. Those specs only tell half the story. In general, you are not shooting at the full frame 48 megapixel resolution, or rather, you might be using all 48 million pixels to produce a high quality 24 megapixel or even 12 megapixel to produce an 8x optical quality sensor crop. The ultrawide will by default shoot 12 megapixel macro photos. In virtually every instance, this is a case where less is more. Apple uses all that pixel information and its remarkable image pipeline to deliver fantastic photos with true life colors and exquisite detail. Here are some camera samples of the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Few things contributes to the new look and feel of the iPhone 17 lineup as much as iOS 26. Liquid glass adds a translucent sheen to almost every aspect of the platform, and mostly it's gorgeous. Apple has done an excellent job of programming pixels to look like glass. Sometimes though, the transparency is overdone and I struggle to make out some interface elements. Think of it this way: when you can see through one element to view another, it can occasionally increase the overall clutter and make some things visually confusing. For example, when you swipe down on the screen to access global search, the search box still faintly shows what's behind it, which makes what's on top of it, what you are typing, a little harder to read. It's small issues that Apple could easily address in the next iOS update. In some cases too, like the new first-party app icons, control center, and dock, iOS 26 is a welcome update that gives everything a little polish without throwing out the most recognizable elements. Apple Intelligence gets a few updates, like live translation and the ability for images captured through visual intelligence to be transformed into calendar entries. I played a bit with Genmoji and Image Playground to experience those upgrades, but they are mostly minor and I still await the fully featured Siri that Apple has promised. The iPhone 17 Pro Max is still a flagship phone based on my testing. You get a more powerful zoom camera, better sustained performance, and the longest iPhone battery life ever, a head-turning design. The iPhone 17 Pro Max is still behind the competition on AI, and it's a bit thick and heavy, but overall it is easily one of the best big screen phones yet.